Hi everybody, good afternoon. I'm Tammy Turner. I'm the Community Education Manager here for Hospice of the Chesapeake, and today with me is Racqueal Brown. She is one of the social workers here at Hospice of the Chesapeake. So thanks Racqueal for coming to chat with me.
Thank you for having me.
I'm really happy that you're here. So first of all, happy National Social Workers Month. Very exciting.
Yes.
Let's start a little bit about what your credentials, like what your training is, what your role is here for Hospice of the Chesapeake.
Sure, so my credentials are LCSW-C,
Okay.
licensed certified social worker clinical,
Okay.
education, bachelor's in social work, master's in social work, and then the certification, which allowed me to get the clinical on with the certification.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's your role here for Hospice? What do you do?
I'm a clinical social worker here at Hospice,
Okay.
working with the Doves team. What's special about the Doves team is that we serve strictly facilities.
So facilities
like assisted livings,
Okay.
small group homes, and skilled nursing facilities.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So Racqueal and I are going to talk today about what a social worker does, and specifically for her role in working in facilities, what her role is there. If you guys want to like this, share it, feel free to ask us questions. We'll do our best to answer those, if not now, later. But let's start with a social worker in a role for a facility. You're providing practical and emotional support.
Yes.
Okay, so what does that look like specifically for somebody who's in hospice care, for the person that's in hospice care?
That's a great question. And it is just that, but it also involves acting as a liaison oftentimes between facility and hospice
Okay,
and family.
okay,
Addressing issues, concerns, and questions. Sometimes it's educating staff and caregivers
okay,
about hospice and the role of hospice, the hospice care plan, how to best serve the patient,
right.
making sure that their goals of care are being met, and working with the facility to do that.
So it seems like it might be even a little bit more complicated or involved, because you have the family and the person in hospice, and then you actually have the people who are providing the care, the people that work in the facility that have a direct relationship with that person too. And I'm guessing sometimes that's been a long-standing relationship as well, like with that they have a very deep connection with that person.
Absolutely. And so, coming into the facility or looking at it as that is the patient's home, when we're coming in and being respectful of facility as well as patient, and just serving as that liaison, just trying to make sure that needs are met and patients' wishes are being tended to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
How often do you, just give me, talk me through a day. Like, what's a day look like for you?
A day for me could involve meeting with family face to face, especially if it's a new patient coming on. With my practice, I like to offer families the opportunity to meet face to face, just so they know who the players are, who's involved on the care team. And just it seems when we're able to establish that up top, or when services begin, it just makes for a smoother transition.
Right.
So it could involve family meetings, always involves patient visits. So I'm always, most days, going to facilities. It involves IDT team meetings.
So IDT, what's that stand for?
Interdisciplinary team meetings. So the time when the care team, the doctor, social worker, the case manager, which is the RN, the chaplain, we all get together. Sometimes it also involves the CNAs. We'll come to those meetings, and even volunteers that may be involved with the family will come to those meetings.
That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people. It's a lot of people.
That's a lot of personalities,
It's a lot. I think we do well though. but we come and discuss.
Okay.
Patient's care plan, we discuss any changes
Okay.
over the last week or two. Any changes that need to be made, including changes in medications or just psychosocial dynamics,
Right.
things that impact care.
Their like what's going on with them and their quality of life.
Absolutely,
Okay.
and how we can best serve
Right.
to make sure that needs are met and wishes are being honored.
Right.
So, yeah.
Wow. For those of you just joining on, again, I'm Tammy Turner. I'm the Community Education Manager here with Hospice of the Chesapeake, and today I'm with Racqueal Brown. She's one of the social workers here for Hospice of the Chesapeake, and her role is working with folks who are in the care of hospice, and her direct role is working at facilities and being the social worker, and as she was just saying, a liaison and advocate and
Yes.
helping people at that time of life.
Mhm.
So when you first were talking about people that you're interacting with, one of the groups is the family.
Mhm.
So can you talk me through that a little bit? Like, what do you actually do for them?
For families, not only am I, if they're not, if they don't have an awareness of hospice and what that means, I think sometimes for people, hospice may be that taboo or people are afraid of it
Right.
because of misnomers about hospice.
So you're basically starting
It's
with
starting
education?
education,
Okay.
answering questions, resources if needed, but really just trying to forge a relationship with the family, a
Right.
working relationship,
Right.
because to support that patient,
Right.
working together to support that patient. And so that's just so important to kind of, as best you can, be on the same page with that,
Yeah.
and making sure people understand and can make informed decisions about their loved one or a most form. Oftentimes, in my role,
Mhm.
we help with completing the most form.
So for folks that might not know what
They
that
may not
is.
know, it's
Yeah.
the Maryland medical orders
Okay.
for life-sustaining treatment, and it's basically an advanced directive.
Okay.
And it also includes code status.
Okay, so basically it's helping people clarify
Yeah.
what they want and what they don't want as far as at the end of their life, what kind of treatment they would want to
Absolutely,
receive or
yeah.
not receive.
With some specific
gotta
areas,
be-
that's a lot.
That's gotta be
Yeah.
an intense conversation just to talk about that, I think.
Yeah. But what I find is when people, understand the conversation
Right.
about what's gonna drive how we proceed at end of life for someone,
Right,
it's much easier for them to make just an informed decision.
right,
So it's just so important, the communication,
right.
helping people understand what decisions need to be made and why and when.
I think there's a lot of confusion about that. First of all, the terms are kind of confusing, like, people use the MOLST acronym, and then advanced directives and living wills. There's a lot
There's a
of
lot.
terminology
Yeah.
out there that I think people, don't really get
Yeah.
what counts for what. Yeah, so that's gotta be really important that that's sort of, you're laying the groundwork
Yeah,
and you're,
it's
opening
so
up that-
important, and it's a big part of my role as
Yeah.
a social worker with
okay,
hospice.
is doing that.
Yeah.
So, and I know you can't divulge too much because of patient privacy, but I'm really interested in if you can share a story or something, a specific encounter that you've had that really, kind of was
Sure.
like, this is my job, this is what, just really
Yeah.
held something meaningful for you.
Absolutely. So first of all, I just think that my work is a sacred work. I really look at it like that. I really respect it. I really respect the people that I have an opportunity to meet and serve whatever role I do in their lives. Connection, just the human connection, so important to me, and I really value that. So let me start with that. And so often in my role, I have these opportunities that touch me and hopefully them too.
Right,
Hopefully them too.
right,
But one in particular comes to mind. I had been working with this patient for several months, and good relationship, great rapport, and we're developing a healthy, I think, relationship with her, wherein she was becoming, after about 4 or 5 months, really comfortable with sharing private details, you know, with me, and she did that. And little did I know that it was in preparation for her transition that would happen soon after that.
Okay.
I mean, I knew that it would be coming. I knew that she would be passing.
Right.
But I really felt like that was an indication that it was probably sooner than later for her. And she was just able to really share some personal, intimate details of which she said she had never shared with anyone, but felt that she could with me. And she did that, and it just, wow, it just,
yeah, that had to be, like the magnitude of that, I mean, just from you sharing it, I can feel like how that just,
it impacted
was
me so.
such an honor.
Yeah.
Like how I'm hearing from you is that is an honor to carry that
it is
for someone.
And that's, I mean, I experience that, maybe not daily, but I do experience that in my role, and this is what makes it, I think this job is either for you or it isn't, you know, and it is for me, you know, I'm able to do that, and just even talking about it now takes me back to that moment. I get a little misty, just because it was just, she was an older woman, you know, and she just wasn't the type to share, but she was able to share
that, and that she was able to do that before she passed.
She was able to do
and
it,
felt comfortable doing that
doing
with
it,
you.
and she thought I was giving her the gift. She was giving me the gift that she was able to even do that with me. So it's awesome. It's awesome to be able to work that way.
So it sounds like you're, in addition to being an educator and an advocate, that you're also sort of a therapist.
Oh, absolutely.
In a way.
Yes,
right?
my social work skills come into play.
Your social work skills
they do.
really
Whether it's active listening or just trying to understand the root of something, you know, but so all those skills, I put them to good use.
How often, ratio-wise, is it more with interacting with the patient themselves or the family, or is it sort of, or the staff? Like, how would you split that up if you were looking at it?
I would say mostly patient.
Okay.
That's
so
the goal if they're able to.
Okay.
And even if they're not able to communicate, I'm also trying to provide supportive bedside presence.
Okay.
Just support, some kind of support, some kind of presence. I do think that makes a huge difference in the quality of life of someone.
Right.
Maybe who can't communicate with me. So mostly patient, then their family,
okay.
And then facility.
Yeah. Okay.
I think.
All right.
Yeah.
I think we have time for one last thing to talk about. You mentioned this a little bit at the beginning, that there's a lot of misconceptions about what hospice care is and what isn't. Is there something that you share with people from the get-go that would be helpful to share now? Like, what's one of the biggest misconceptions you hear all the time that you have to continuously educate people about regarding hospice care?
One of them, it is the end of the road.
Okay.
And that's just not always the case. I mean, sometimes we have patients graduate off of hospice because it's more of an extended situation for them, or the term we use, extended prognosis, and they just don't qualify for hospice.
Okay. So they're living longer than what was expected.
Yeah.
Okay.
They are.
Okay.
And so there's that. I would say mainly is what, in my experience, people think.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you, Tammy.
I really appreciate you taking
you.
the time to sit and talk.
Thank you.
It's always good to learn more things about, and I now know more about
Great.
the role of a social worker. So
Great.
that's awesome. So thanks for joining us today. If you feel this video might be helpful, please like it, please share it, please follow us on all of our social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And thanks for being with us today.